Hello my friends and welcome to another first impressions video, except it's probably not, it's not fair to call this a first impressions video. So this is Factorio Space Age. The Space Age is an expansion for Factorio that just came out, but it adds a lot of endgame content for Factorio. For those of you who have played a lot of Factorio, it adds a whole, you know, new tech tree and series of things to do outside of the scope of the original game. But what most people don't realize is that Factorio is actually quite a long project. I first got involved with Factorio back in 2014, before it was, long before it was on Steam. I can't remember, but someone who is very much into building games found out about Factorio and told me. And so I got into it long before it was, I think even before it was a Kickstarter, potentially. I'm trying to wrap my brain here. I mean, 2014 was 10 years ago. So I thought about doing a You Should Have Played It for this. But a You Should Have Played It for Factorio would make sense, considering it's 10 years old to me, plus. But it doesn't make sense in terms of the fact that there's this new expansion, Space Age. Either way, Factorio is a game that I can wholeheartedly recommend. Without even looking at the expansion, I can recommend it. If you like building games. If you don't like building games, this is not the game for you. But if you like building games, this is the game for you. So, at its heart, what Factorio is, essentially, is a factory building game. But you're also dealing with some aliens who will attack you if you make too much pollution. So, you can almost think that the planet comes with its very own alien version of Greenpeace. So I'm just holding down right click here to pick things up. And there are a few things that I really like about Factorio, which I think a lot of other games could learn from. So one thing that I really like about Factorio is it's all here. Here's the entire tech tree. You can see the new stuff added with the Space Age. So space platform, that's definitely new. Bacteria cultivation, that's new. Biter egg handling. Biter captivity. So the aliens are called biters, so this is all new. But the whole tree is there. And anything that you want to build, that you've unlocked, it tells you exactly how to build it. What items you can put into things if they take items, and so on and so forth. So, nothing is hidden. You don't have to look through a silly manual to figure out how to build or do anything. And then the other thing is the way that the belts operate. But first things first, we need to get started. So this is a mine. I'm going to put this mine down on the edge of the coal. I'm going to put the furnace next to it. So the belt system allows for some very complicated logistics. Later on you get circuits and logic and all kinds of other stuff. But it doesn't start complicated. So it's very much like an easy to play and difficult to master kind of game. A lot of problems won't present themselves until you have a very big factory. I'm just getting rid of this rock here for stone. What's underneath it is iron. Like many of these kinds of building games, you start off with building iron and copper tech trees, and then moving on to more complicated metals as time moves on. Okay, so this furnace is like basically serving as a box for me to hold the coal for now. What I really need is another mining drill. And the only way that I can get that is with 3 iron plate, 3 iron gear wheel, and 1 stone furnace. And this is where another thing that's very, very cool comes in. So I have 8 iron plate, and I need 9. It's actually telling me what the total raw resources are. So let's grab some iron ore quickly. Shove that in. Let's put the coal in here. And so now I have the necessary bits. You'll see that I can actually just build this. I don't have to build the wheels separately. I can just click this and the game will automatically build the wheels that I require and create the object. So the other great thing about this is that you don't necessarily have to faff around with all the small fiddly details when you're just trying to get started. You can auto build. What's funny here is that there's actually coal and iron there. But it gets a bit messy if you're trying to put a couple of different kinds of resources in. So these 2 drills are now pumping coal and iron into the furnace, which will then turn into copper plates for me, as you can see. So far I've not used any belts, but we do, in fact, need a fair amount of these iron plates before we can start making belts and doing things intelligently. So over here, according to my map, we've got some copper ore and some stone. Your start position has got the 4 resources you need to get started, which is stone, copper, iron, and coal. So I'm going to go ahead and grab some copper ore. There have been some changes as well in that in the original Factorio you had to research red potion and then handcraft the first 10 to sort of get started. But now electronics actually comes from just making 10 copper plate. Likewise, steam power comes from crafting 50 iron plate. So you don't have to do this kind of awkward science potion making early on to get yourself started. Okay, it's 20 iron plates. Let's take those. You can actually left click to take products out of something, but I'm just doing it the slow way to show you guys how it works. So let's put together another furnace and another drill. So it's the same deal with copper. Just gonna forge some plates here. Okay. So the basics of starting to build, you know, a real factory with all the machines and shit is to get a coal line and make it self-propagating, self-fulfilling, automated. So at the moment I'm very much just moving the fuel around to make sure that everything is running, which is not necessarily how you want to do anything. So now what we're going to do is make a coal line. So let's start here. So here I have 2 coal mines. And then we've got inserters. So these will pick up something that's on a belt and put it into the thing that they're pointing at. So now what will happen is, if I put fuel in this one, you can zoom right in. The fuel will go on the belt, the inserter will pick up the fuel, and the fuel will go back into the mine. And this will repeat until this is fully fueled. And they produce more fuel than they consume. So effectively what is happening is this is fueling itself first as its primary output, is that the coal is going to actually run the coal mine, but then when that's done, the coal will go down the belt. So let's build a few more belts. Now you'll notice that on one side I have coal, but to make iron plate I need both iron and coal. So the next step is to mine iron. Now one thing is, I'm actually going to need some more. I'm going to need some more iron plates before I can continue. I have not actually made quite enough. It's fine. As much as I loathe manually doing anything in this game, just going to grab extra bits that I need. Okay, that's electronics, but we won't go into that just yet. Okay, so there's already coal on this belt. It's on the, I guess you would call that the right-hand side or the bottom of the belt. So now we're picking up coal off this belt, and iron is coming out of the iron mine. My insatiable lust for copper plate will be the doom of us all. There we go. So now you'll see that we have both iron and coal on the belt. So it's probably kind of obvious what happens next. I'm just going to move this up because I am a bit short on iron plate right now. Obviously stuff can be moved around manually when you're first getting started, which it makes sense to do. We don't want to build on the field because, you know, you're gonna expand at some point, right? Oh, there's an alien there. Gotta choose the predicted fire. Okay. The combat in this is pretty rudimentary, and it's not the reason why you play Factorio. Let's just be honest here. Right, I need one more of these. 2 more actually would be good. I'll move these onto the field for now, but I wouldn't recommend doing this normally. Normally I'd recommend building off the field, because you're going to come back later and set up more and ever more efficient mines, so you want your processing to be not on top of your mining, but obviously we're stagnating in terms of resources here right now. So as you can see, the basics of automation are there. Now we are forging iron plates using 2 resources on a single belt. We can then turn these iron plates into the various things that we need. Now, unfortunately for me, my start here is not great in that the water is all the way over here, which is another thing we got to worry about, because the next step would be to generate electricity using steam, so that we can electrify instead of using coal to do everything. But I've either got to deliver the water down here, or I've got to deliver the coal up there. And this is a very, very big distance to cover. Probably easier to deliver the water. So what we need is a pump, a boiler, and an engine. Engine requires a lot of steel plate. And of course we need some pipes to move the water. You can just hold down the button and build away. Here I am moving back and forth. They've added a jog to my start position, I guess. Let's take that bit off and make sure that it ends with an insert. Now, one thing that is annoying about pipes is that you can't pass through them. So you're gonna, as you go along, you're gonna find that certain elements of the game you're gonna have to work around. So you can't walk through pipes. So one trick is to use pipe to ground and just bury your pipes. So if I do this and click like this, you can see here I'm gonna bury all this pipe. You don't have to have the pipe in the existing position, but now I can walk over it. You can see that it travels underground. So this is the more efficient way of doing things. Just get rid of this. It's not automatically hoovered it up. I used to build my pipes like this for so that I can pass through them, but I used to leave this one segment gap between the undergrounds. You can connect undergrounds together. This just allows you to later branch off if you need to. And it also, because there's a little window on the overground pipe, it just lets you see at a distance what liquid is in the pipe. When your factory starts getting really complicated, what window is in the, what liquid is in the pipe, you start to forget. When you got 20 pipes. This is very slow production. Let's see if we can speed this up. There's plenty of coal, but there's not enough iron on the line. So we're going to speed it up. How are we going to speed it up? Well, we're just going to add more. So this is, we would call this issue a bottleneck. So my bottleneck was iron ore. Obviously, there's no iron ore on the belt. So we're not getting enough to run these forges as efficiently as we possibly could do. So we've added additional mines to try and undo that bottleneck. Actually, still sort of looks like it's a bottleneck-ish. Might not be. Right, I can zoom right out. Moving the water. Halfway there. And you can see where the time burns away in this game. I mean, admittedly, I got a particularly unfortunate start here with everything being miles away from each other. Come on, pipes. I'm just grabbing the wood here because it's a useful fuel, but it's also useful for making electricity poles later. So here now, look, the bottleneck is the forges. I could probably add another forge here and speed things up that way. And so on and so forth, and so you will, eventually the bottleneck will become the belt itself, and that's when the game gets interesting. It is night time. You can get night vision goggles and such later, but or just build lamps and things, but we're not electrified yet, so those are luxuries that we're just gonna have to live without. Okay. Tuck this up. Now, I don't have splitters yet, so I'm going to have to build a separate coal line, which is fine. Just got to clear this annoying forest out of the way. Right, let's shove another forge down. I should move this out of the field soon. Don't just keep building and building and building and then find out that you've got to move a huge amount of stuff. Right. I think we're close enough. Let's make some extra pipe. Okay, so why did I move the water all the way down here? Well, the simple reason is to make electricity we need to boil water to drive a turbine. And if we're going to boil water, guess what we're going to use to boil that water? Yep, it's coal. So I need to make a separate coal line. Because I haven't got. Normally you'd have one coal line, but I haven't got splitters, so I can't split. I can't split this line and add more production to it, so I have to make a separate line. Trust me to get it slightly wrong. Okay, so now the coal goes in the boiler, which boils the water, which then drives the turbine, which then gives us power. So this little blue square is the areas that are electrified. As you can see, the output right now is 0 because we're not draining any power, so there's no need for it to be anything but 0. Okay. So obviously the primary resource of electrification is copper. So this becomes the point where, if we want to electrify, we need to get rid of... we need to start dealing with copper. And for the moment, my only copper source is over here. I'm stuck in a rock. There's my mine, there's my furnace. Got half of my available coal in here, half in here. And for as long as I hand feed this coal, it should produce copper plates for me. Which lets me make inserters. The electrified kind, rather than the kind that uses coal. So the obvious reason to switch to electrified inserters is that you no longer require coal. Which means that we can do things that are a little bit more complicated. Like, for example, we could now deliver these resources into boxes. So just as an example, I'll drop a box down here. There's my electric poles. So now the generator is going. Power is delivered. And we are now delivering these plates into a box. Of course, I haven't improved things here, right? Because, I mean, what's the difference between collecting them from the machines themselves and collecting them from a box? But what you would want to eventually do is something like this. Need a little more copper. Let's grab the coal off the belt. Oh man, why did I roll a seed? I just happened to roll a seed where everything is really far apart. But it's fine. Let's just go ahead and refuel these while I'm here. We haven't even gotten into the research tree yet. Okay. So now we can combine these lines together and have one box and fill that. Now you can see here that this inserter is really not going quickly enough to keep up with the delivery, so we can improve that by simply increasing the number of inserters. You can also later on improve the quality of the inserters, but we don't have access to improved inserters yet, so this is a good workaround. So now, if you come to the iron facility, if you will, the beginnings of an iron facility, now I need iron plates, I can just grab them out of this box. And I don't have to worry about the machinery. Now, I will tell you for free, like my wife and I have played this game for undoubtedly tens of thousands of hours in the last 10 years. And I've really enjoyed it, and the expansion is out for what, you know, however I feel about the expansion, it's mostly late game stuff, and so I haven't had a chance to experience it all myself, though I've seen, you know, I've seen the tech in the tech tree and so on, and in the intro page, if you will. I think this actually just exits you straight from the game, so I'll leave it for now. In the intro of the game, it shows you some of the new worlds and stuff like that, and you know, goes over all the details of the expansion. If you loved Factorio, I mean, the bottom line is, if you loved Factorio, get Space Age. It's just more Factorio. And if you haven't tried Factorio and you're into building games, just go and buy Factorio, because it is a brilliant game. I really enjoy it. It's a surprisingly deep game, and it won't be long until you are working on massive, sprawling factories. Unfortunately, my wife and I play with a lot of mods. There's a huge modding community for Factorio. It has its own built-in mod workshop, which is really good. So none of my save games work in the base game because they are, or in Space Age because they are modded to high heaven and back. So I can't show you any of my wife and I's projects, but this is one of the very, very few games I would just wholeheartedly recommend for anyone who likes this genre. Obviously, if you're a FPS twitcher, this is not for you. But if you are into building games like SimCity 4, like Banished, no, I must admit there are not many truly excellent building games out there. I guess City Skylines and RimWorld, although I think RimWorld's kind of gone off the deep end a little bit. This is a great game. This is a great pickup. It's worth every penny. So I would just go ahead and pick up Factorio, and if you've fallen down what the fans call Cracktorio, if you've gotten addicted to the game, there's no reason to not pick up Space Age. My friends and I will be playing. Obviously, they haven't got it at the time of this recording. They haven't gotten Space Age yet because it's not out for that at the time of this recording. But they're all going to buy it, and we're all going to sit in a huge multiplayer game and build a huge factory and explore the new content together. And who knows, maybe some of that will end up on this channel, maybe it won't. But I just wanted to take the time out, because I normally put strategy games on this channel, which, I mean, this is a strategy game, but, you know, turn-based, combat-orientated games on this channel. This is just a great game to relax with for a strategist, because working out how to fix the bottlenecks in your factory and expand and, you know, get more and more done and increase outputs, and then how to join all complex products together to create some end game product. It gets really deep and it gets really interesting, and then you sit there with issues and you figure out solutions, and I've always really enjoyed it. So I have an ungodly amount of hours on this game. I just felt like it deserved to be on my channel, and for me to just put it out there that this is a great pickup. And that's it. So in terms of Space Age, I think it's out on the 22nd, 21st, something like that, of October. And it just adds a whole lot of endgame content and some new planets to colonize. I say just. This is a huge expansion. It adds new planets to colonize, new technology to work with, etc., etc. If you've ever played the space exploration mod, there is a lot similar between this expansion and that mod. And I believe that the guy that was involved in the space exploration mod is involved with the Space Age expansion. So that is it. Unfortunately, Factorio is the kind of game that, to do it any justice, I'd have to be playing it for 20 or 30 hours plus. And then you'll really start to see the factory take shape, and to get to the Space Age content will probably take a long time as well. So there's considerable time investment in this game. But that is the nature of a time-wasting game, as it were, is that it does take a lot of time. But it's not like you'll be bored. There's always plenty to be doing. Plenty to be building, plenty to be expanding, you know. Factory must grow, as the fans say. So there's plenty to do. It just all takes a very long time to do it. So that's perhaps maybe the only negative critique of this game I have, other than the fact that the combat side of things is quite rudimentary, and I know it's not really the point, but it could be better. So you'll see here, the red potion has now unlocked the rest of the research tree. And you need copper plate and iron gear wheel to make red potion. And so now what we need to do is we need to set up the delivery of these resources to make red potions and deliver them to the science center so we can do research. And that's going to involve automation. It looks like you still need your 10 red potions to get your automation machine, which is like the first building block of making complicated products in this game, like wheels and circuit boards and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, that's it for Factorio. It's an excellent game. I couldn't recommend it enough, but it is a certain type of game. So if you are that certain type of player, then you're going to love it. And if you're not, if you prefer your games to be fast-paced and have lots of action, then it's not going to be for you. It's that simple, really. And as for the expansion, it's just a whole lot more Factorio. So That's exactly what I've always wanted from an expansion. I am from the era of expansion packs. I remember when a game came out, like say StarCraft or Command and Conquer or Age of Empires or whatever, the expansion pack came along. The expansion pack was just literally more of the game, some stuff put on the end of the tech tree. That's exactly how Factorio has done it. So there's not really much more to say there. That is it for now. I would love to hear your thoughts and comments about Factorio down in the comments section, and maybe some counts of how much time how much of your lifespan you have lost to this game. Yeah, that is it for this first impressions. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you guys next time.